project later.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct. If it's $1 million, the state will pay 45.11% of what we spend of that portion. If it gets approved, then it gets rolled into the project and paid for over the project. If it's not approved, the finance committee could speak to how our half of it would be paid for, whether it's paid for at once or paid for over a couple of years. That's, it's not really for us to decide. And bonded and paid for over 5 years. Yes.
Mr.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones, seeing hiding.
Architect on the first project there. Can you continue to use that same architect, or do you have to go out to state bid as most people are?
The first failure was not through this architect that we used. The first failure was through Knight, Tag, and Anderson. This is Dora and Whittier. The state will look favorably upon them because they have done a lot of work for us, but it's not a guarantee that they will be the architects for the project.
So you don't have to bid it, John?
Right.
The state bids it in a way.
There are 15 votes the day you go in to pick the architect. We have 3. The state has 12. So that's how that scenario plays out. We would like to keep Dora and Whittier on. Doesn't mean it can happen because they are doing a lot of gratis work for us, which is expected because, as you know, the project is worth a few dollars.
Okay.
But that's the way it works.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
I guess the question, when the state comes back and we have to decide if it's, do we have to take the entirety of the project, or can we take parts of the project and do that?
Depends if you want to get reimbursed for it or not.
The answer is A, B, and C parts to it, and we take A and B.
No, that's a good question. No, we will have one project as agreed upon between the town, as agreed upon between the state and our owner's project manager, who's, kind of the go-between. But we will come together as a group, and it's not just gonna be this is what we think is gonna happen, and then yes or no. There's a whole lot of feedback, and there's a whole process where we're joint hand in hand with the state all the way through this thing, all the way through that 6 to 9 month feasibility. There's gonna be multiple meetings, multiple discussions. They're totally in on it. They don't wanna have a project that's either too big or too small. They wanna build it at the right size, at the right cost, and make sure it takes care of the issue so we don't have to come back to them again. But we're not gonna have options that we get to vote on. It's gonna be, here's our project as agreed upon between, the 11 voting members who are town residents who've been on this, some for as many as 10 years like Chuck, some as 5, myself. We know about this thing. We've been heavily involved with every aspect of this coming through, some for 10 years. We're gonna come together, we'll have one project, and then the project will be voted on by the town. Once the state gives us the thumbs up, everybody's in agreement. We have 120 days to say, yes, we're gonna do it, and then the state's gonna pay half of it, and we say no, and we're done. We're at the bottom, at the end of the line, and that's it. And we're not gonna get any money from the state going forward. Or I guess we could resubmit, but there's 226 projects. The state just had egg on their face because it wasn't successful. It's as much a political thing as it is anything. They wanna build schools. They don't wanna have feasibility studies that they pay half for and then not go forward with it. So we're hoping that, we need to define the project before we can vote on it. We don't know what it is. We have to take this next step. Once we know what that project is, then as a town, we have to decide whether we're gonna go forward with it or not.
Jeff?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So am I understanding correctly that we could wind up with just a high school?
We could, yep. Our high school statement, we had to submit a statement of interest. It was refreshed several times. Basically, there's a whole process you had to go through. We did it every step of the way. They finally approved our statement of interest for the high school. Officially, this is a high school project, but it's a secondary schools project. And historically, the state has been open to, once you go ahead and you sit down during the terms of the feasibility and schematic design phase, they look at the secondary schools. They were out. They look at the high school. They look at the middle school. They were out, was it last year, the year before? They rate the schools. Both of the schools rated a 3 out of 4, with 4 being the worst. And You know, they know that we have a need. We have 18 modulars between the two schools. The state doesn't want to take care of one and then have us come back. They'd love for us to come back and do something, but we can't answer that at this point. We're not allowed to.
So the public will need to understand that we are having a study to identify what type of structure we're going to build.
Yeah, it's more than just a study. It's a study and it's design work. They're gonna start the beginning work with the state's input and the town's input, the architect and the owner's project manager, everybody's input. We're gonna say, okay, this is what we're gonna go for, and they're gonna start putting the thing together, and at that point, we'll know. We need to go to the next phase to be able to know whether it's gonna be, it could be just a high school project, it could be just a high school renovation of the existing building. The state may come back and say that. It could be a renovation of the high school with a slight renovation to the middle school. It could be a brand-new high school with nothing in the middle school, or it could be a brand-new high school with a renovation to the middle school. Could be shared areas, might not be. We're not allowed to talk about that, we don't know. Yeah,
But
we
the
can't
ultimate
answer
goal
that.
is to.
It will be drawn out, and we'll have the project identified before we have to vote for the big project.
Thank
All
you.
right. Any other questions? Then I'd like to thank you, gentlemen, and the entire building committee for the presentation this evening, and
Nice job. Just one other question before we go. Is there a consensus from the board on a project?
I was just going to suggest.
Because we have a.
okay, I'm sorry.
Finance committee
I-
going with us.
I thought
I'm
we'd
just
take that
curious.
next, Steve.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
I was gonna recommend we.
Your question's gonna be answered.
Okay, that's
Okay.
what I'm
I'm
trying
just
to-
kinda trying to close off the discussion here,
Okay.
so we can take
I just
the
wanted to
next
get that in.
action. Mr. O'Leary.
I think it's, again, I think it's critical that we move forward, and I move that the Board of Selectmen recommend Article 21 for the middle school, high school feasibility study as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. O'Leary, seconded by Mr. Delaney. Any further discussion at this point?
Up to $1 million.
No, just comments. As Greg perfectly laid out, this is a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-generation opportunity here. We're going to get 50 cents back on the dollar from the state in all likelihood. You can just see how inadequate that space is, both from a space standpoint and educational standpoint, what we could do with even a refurbished high school and more programs we can offer the students in this community. This is the time to do it. It won't be a better time, and certainly we may not have another time to do it, so that's why I'm in favor.
Even if the community chooses not to move forward, we can't find out and quantify what we need to at this price. I mean, so even if the community decides not to move forward with whatever project is proposed, because we don't know what that's going to be, right now we have a partner at nearly 50% to find out and quantify exactly what the needs for the town of North Reading, secondary school needs are for the town of North Reading. For us to go out and do this, it would cost us $1 million. Now it's only gonna cost us half of that. So it's money well spent and invested, I think, at this point in time, because we do have to move forward on these facilities anyway. So I think it's money well spent.
Go ahead.
Are they gonna name the school after Rita Mullen?
For $1 million,
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
for $1 million, maybe.
I gotta bring it back.
This is meeting one, he's already started.
I'm a longtime school supporter, after spending 12 years on the school committee trying to get the high school renovated, and which resulted in my losing my 5th term on the school committee for supporting the high school. I also supported the Swan Pond School the first time I ran for selectman, and as a result didn't win. But that hasn't,
Therefore, you're not
that
gonna
hasn't.
support this?
Oh, no.
I hope that's what he's leading up to.
So the timing is better this time because I've just been reelected, so.
Maybe for you,
Of course,
the project.
I am very much in support of this, and I think the way the state is running the school board reimbursement now is much better. And I think the investment of $550,000, which based on the reimbursement will be putting all of this out into a form that I think the public will be much more informed associated with the project and, you know, have a picture of what it's gonna be and have a picture of what the costs are. I think the citizens at whole will be in a better position to make an informed up or down vote on the project. So, you know, I applaud you for your efforts, and, you know, I'd like to see the thing move on. I think the timeline now is a little better understood, too. It may be not this coming October, but a October town meeting decision, or maybe even sooner. You know, one of the issues with summertime is the difficulty of getting a quorum at a town meeting, and then an election, well, you know, a vote, an override vote's a little different story, I guess, because you don't need a quorum for that, but, so, it sounds like we're gonna have a busy year or so, and then we'll be prepared to bring the project forward. Hopefully, by then, everyone will understand the project, understand the need, and vote favorably. And I do know that, you know, we're in for, you know, we're in an economic issue. We're struggling with our budgets and everything, but somehow we've got to, you know, put that aside and say we've got to make this investment for the future. So I thank you all.
Thank you for listening.
We're gonna take a vote.
Yep. On the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
I will tell you, it took about 5 years to get the original high school built. I happened to be here then. It took many years to even get that one built.
I think it took 3 tries to get the high school refurb back.
Yeah, that took 3
then.
tries, but to build a high school took 5 years. So it happens, it's a lot of money, and it's probably one of the biggest investments the town is going to make in a long time.
Okay, we have a busy agenda. Next item,
Thank you.
discuss the liaisons for the forthcoming year. I thought first, because I know Jeff had said that he thought there were a couple on here that I never got updated or what from last year, so let's correct the list to start with. I think it was between you and Steve, it swapped something, was that correct?
Yeah, here's, if I may show you this.
I think I have the
This
board
was from
registered.
last year.
Yeah.
These were the assignments for this year,
Mhm.
from last year, the
So
carryover.
No, but which
It
ones?
was the Board of Registrars.
Board of
yeah.
registrars, I think I have.
Yes, and you
Yeah.
had my name on that.
No, I got it right here.
No, that's the Board of.
Board of
Appeals.
Appeals.
Oh,
is the
Board of
first.
Registrar, I'm sorry. So Steve has the,
Board of registrars.
okay. And what was the other one, Jeff?
And,
And you had one that Steve doesn't have, right? Is that this
Right.
one here? Did you, LUC, Jeff?
I have the LUC,
Right.
and I don't think you have me as, with the
No,
LUC.
you have me down there.
Either that, yeah.
What was the LUC?
Would be,
Land Utilization Committee, so this was Jeff.
right,
Okay.
okay. Either that, I was going to these meetings for.
No, okay, no, I think those changes never got carried forward. Thank you. Okay, so, we have Mr. Prisco, who, you know, in the process would be picking up all of those assignments that Mr. Vino had, and now we can talk about making changes. For those board members that want to make a change, I know that Mr. Prisco had asked well, he is on the Community Planning Commission, Mr. Yule had asked also. So are we, is that settled, or?
Well, we spoke briefly, but I know I spoke with you a little bit, and you had a suggestion.
Yeah, my suggestion would be, and we've done this in the past, is that we had 2 members assigned to liaison.
Absolutely.
For
This would be CPC. Is that okay with everybody?